If you've been looking at the Brisbane market but struggling to find the right suburbs to buy, then this is the video for you. In today's video, we're going to look at 6 of the best and most undervalued suburbs, statistically speaking, in the Brisbane market.
So what we've done with these 6 suburbs, we've looked at the geographical location within Brisbane, and we've also looked at the entry price, plus a few other key performance indicators. So starting with a suburb a little bit closer to the city that comes at a slightly higher entry price, let's talk through Arana Hills.
Awesome. So Arana Hills is one of my old favourites. When I stopped personally buying in the Sydney market, Arana Hills was actually one of the first suburbs I identified. I've been buying this suburb now for the last 7.5 years and still think it represents ridiculous quality inner city buying for those of you that can afford it. Now, Arana Hills is 10 k's from the city with a vacancy rate at almost half of 1%, meaning it's chronically undersupplied. What I love about the Hills district is there's extremely high quality schools, great infrastructure. The incomes per household are well over $100,000 per year, and the percentage of renters is extremely low.
Arana Hills really has it all. It just comes at a slightly higher entry price for Brisbane, where you can still pick up properties, quality properties, for between about $800,000 to $1 million plus. Looking into the next suburb, Redland Bay, which is a little bit of a hidden gem, a bit of a diamond in the rough, but statistically, it looks absolutely amazing.
You almost feel like I don't want to give this away on camera because I think there's just so much potential here. Redland Bay is on the southern beaches of Brisbane. Incomes are massive as well over $100,000 per year. You can get extremely high quality brick tile, slab on ground property in the area, in quiet streets with big blocks of land. And depending on your budget, get in there for somewhere between $700K up to $1 million. Now, $700K gets you in at the basement level with a bit of a renovator, like 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. $1 million gets you a palace in the area, walking distance to the beach on a big block of land.
What I love about Redland Bay is almost every single property in the suburb is within like 3 kilometres as the crow flies from the bay. So you're always going to get that nice ocean sea breeze, and you're always going to be in nice close proximity to the water. Now, if we trudge our way up the coast to the northeastern beaches, you've got a suburb called Margate, which we absolutely love. Now, I personally own a couple of properties in Margate. I think it is a hugely undervalued area. There is a huge amount of infrastructure going into the area. Redcliffe Dolphins have just joined the NRL and their stadium's being upgraded as well, which is great. Go the Dolphins.
That was so good.
And there's also a lot of private upgrades going on around the Redcliffe Peninsula from Newport all the way down to Woody Point and Clontarf, where you're seeing a lot of renovations, a lot of knockdown rebuilds, a lot of subdivisions coming to the market as it gentrifies, because this area 5-10 years ago, let's just say it wasn't the highest quality location in Brisbane, but it is certainly moving through that gentrification at the moment. Now, those 3 areas that we've just talked about do come at a slightly higher entry price. As Ben said, minimum $700,000, but all the way over $1 million, which I know isn't really attainable for a lot of investors at the moment. You do have a slightly lower budget, maybe between $500,000 to $700,000. So let's go to the south of Brisbane, to our trusty old friend Crestmead.
You know, Crestmead's a special one for me because 7.5 years ago, you could literally buy a house in Crestmead for under $300K. And the rent per week was somewhere between about $220 to $300 a week. So like south of Sydney, like north or west of Melbourne, obviously there was a bit of a hangover in terms of the people that live there. And that's why a lot of people have had their blinders on to south and west Brisbane in the last 10 years. But as people have moved to Queensland, these areas are becoming much better. I've seen the average incomes in Crestmead go from less than $1,000 a week 4 years ago to over $75,000 per year per household on average. You've got some of the lowest vacancy rates in the country in the area, and you've got plenty of renovations going on at the moment.
And then sliding a little bit further west in the Logan City Council, you've got another suburb called Regents Park, which is probably the most prestigious, or one of the most prestigious areas in Logan City Council west of the M1. So what are some of the good statistics in Regents Park?
You know, Regents Park looks ridiculous on paper. It's extremely well connected to the city, only being 23 k's away. Vacancy rates less than 0.5%. Average income's almost $2,000 per week per household now. An extremely, extremely low number of renters living there, just 24%, meaning it's a full-on mum and dad area. And what I love is there's plenty of beautiful big blocks out there as well.
Yeah, a lot of people hear Logan City Council or just Logan in general, and they just go, no, I do not want to buy there. And look, there has been a lot of crime. There has been a lot of public housing down there in the past, but it is starting to gentrify. I'm super grateful to be an investor in the market there.
You know, I think a big part of the attractiveness to South Brisbane statistically is it's done significantly less per year on average over the last 10 years than many other parts of Brisbane City Council. And so when I look at that, based on Jeremy Shepherd from DSR's data, effectively suburbs that do really well in the first 10 years of a cycle generally do a little bit less in the second.
So while we're down in that south and southwestern corridor of Brisbane, of the greater Brisbane region, there is some really great suburbs in the Ipswich City Council as well. Now, Ipswich used to be this little country village a little bit further from the CBD, when realistically it's only about 30 kilometres from the Brisbane CBD. And what we've got going in is actually a fast rail that's going to enable people that live in Ipswich to get to the Brisbane CBD within 30 minutes. Now, there is a bunch of great suburbs out there. There is a few lower quality suburbs and flood zones that you do want to avoid. But one of the best areas that we like to buy in out there is a suburb called Raceview.
Raceview, like many of the suburbs out there, is significantly undervalued at the moment because, again, everybody's focused on the city. Then they went to the beaches in Brisbane, and then they went to the middle ring suburbs. But some of these areas from about 19 through to about 33 k's from the city out through that Ipswich corridor look amazing. Brisbane City Council has just decided with the state government that Ipswich is going to become the second CBD of Brisbane, like Parramatta did in Sydney. Many of the council workers and officers are already moving out there at the moment. As Simon said, there's some fast rail coming. There's also a huge Air Force base out there that's going through significant upgrades, a great university, and some of Australia's best schools as well.
So within the 5 local government areas that make up the greater Brisbane region, there is a bunch of really high quality options, whether your budget's as low as $450,000 or as high as $1.5 million. As we lead up to the 2032 Olympic Games, and with this huge population and infrastructure boom that Southeast Queensland is going through, there is so many great opportunities up here.
Beautiful. So for those of you out there who are seriously thinking about buying an investment property in Brisbane and want to learn more about the market, Simon and myself would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session where we can talk about where you are now, where you'd like to be longer term. We can talk about the different options, whether it's the city, the beaches, or the middle ring of Brisbane, and the pros and cons of each. And then you can take that with a grain of salt and either go and smash it on your own or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each month, and we can help get you educated on the market and into an incredibly high quality investment property on the lead up to the Olympic Games.
Woo! That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Getting cool, bro. Yeah. Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good. That's so nice.